Hello, welcome back to my channel where we discuss the MCC laws of cricket. In this episode, we will be discussing Law 12, Start of Play and Cessation of Play, a very important law from the point of view of conducting a match. All umpires should be well versed in the provisions this law contains. We all know and we all practice it. The bowlers and umpires shall call play before the start of the start of the match and at the start of every and at the end of every interval and at the end of every interruption of play or when he starts a new session of play. And also that the bowlers and umpires shall call time at the end of any session of play. Only when the ball, what is to be noted is only when the ball is dead or wherever he is required to call time. There are many occasions where he is required to call time by the laws. Here we are talking, we are familiar with the calling of time at the end of a session of play, but there are several occasions where he is required to call time. We discuss those under some of the other laws. But here what you need to, very important for you to note is that the umpire is supposed to call time only when the ball is dead. Earlier, in the case of calling of time and in case of calling of over, the ball used to be rendered dead by these two calls. This is no longer the case. Both in the case of time, the call of time and the call of over, the ball is not rendered dead. So there can be some trouble. Therefore, instructions are that please wait for the ball to become dead, or you may consider the ball to become dead. Once you have done that time please. Similarly for over, it may be over, time please. Please remember that. I'd like you to remember that very much. Alright? The law instructs that after the call of time, the bail shall be removed from both wickets. Now I am an old man and I love the traditions of the game and I like those to be observed. I detest it very much to see that umpires leave the bails on the top of the stumps after calling time and go away for lunch or tea. And throughout the session the camera shows the bails on top. Actually, bails being on top indicates that play is in progress and it is reasonable. I expect umpires to drop the bails if they don't want to carry they find it too heavy in their pockets, at least drop them on the deck. I have something interesting to tell you about this. I was, as I think I mentioned earlier, that I was fourth umpire in a test match, India versus South Africa. I was fourth umpire to Simon Toffel and Darrell Howe. And of course, I have to do what they want me to do, so I put it up to them. I said, look, Simon and Darrell, of course, that and the match referee Jeff Crow was also there, attending that pre-match meeting. I told to put it up to them both. Look, will you be dropping the bails or bringing the bails back when you call time at the end of the session? So Simon got the point what I was trying to say, and he said, no, MR, we will drop the bails there on the deck. And Jeff Crow said yes, he was interested in the reason for this. So Simon quoted to him the law that the umpire shall remove the bails from the top of the stumps after calling time. Jeff Crow subsided, fine, then it's all right. And my next question to them both was, or the field umpire was, would you want that when you come back, would you want to find the bails on top, or will you be able to pick up the bails from the top and place them on the top, pick them up from the deck and place them on the top? They both said, no, let them remain on the deck and we will pick them up, and I was happy with that. And I instructed my ground staff that under no circumstances should you pull the bails on the top. Umpires will bend down and pick them up and place them on the top. Which I was very happy with that, and that is how the game progressed. And I think all umpires should try and practice this always. Remove the bails on the top after you call time, and please bend your back and pick up the bails. It's not really hard work. It's not really hard work. I think everybody can do that. You come out to a game to do that, I'm sure everybody can do that. And not being able to do that, you shouldn't be umpiring a game, I think. Now coming to law 12.4, starting a new over. There is only one criterion which takes to decide whether a new over shall be started or not. Always. As the game progresses, we are very close to one of the intervals. In order to time, I'm looking at my watch, I'm looking at my colleague, and sometimes it will be clear that the over can't be played, and I'll call time. But there may be times where it might not be that clear. The only criterion is that my colleague from square leg should, walking at a normal pace, reach the end of his wicket. And if by that time the closing time has not been reached, it may be a few seconds before, 10, 15, 20 seconds before, the umpire should start a new over and play it out. It should be very clear that you are walking at your normal pace. There is no way you should be hurrying up. Why should you be wanting one more over to be put in? Yes. And you should also not be slackening your pace, which will indicate that you are keen to go in for lunch. Why should you be doing that again? So always walk at your normal pace. This will be the indication of impartiality towards the game. You don't care whichever way it happens. And it is always to be maintained that indication of impartiality, that sign of impartiality, has always got to be maintained by the umpire. There is no reason you should be hurrying up, or no reason you should be slowing down. So the point is that walking at the normal pace, the umpire reaches the bowler's end. You look at the watch. Time is not reached. You play that over. You will have to play that over. That is the only criterion. However, going further, now completion of an over. This is starting of a new over. The completion of an over. When it comes to completion of an over, it is possible that there is a rule there which abrogates this earlier rule which I said. You are, if before the time for the interval, there are 3 minutes, less than 3 minutes available. I keep making this mistake. I say 3 minutes or less. No. If 3 minutes are left, you will call the new batsman to come in and play and finish the over. If it is less than 3 minutes, you will go in for the interval. In that case, here we very well know, suppose it happens on the last ball, a wicket falls, or a batsman retires at 11:58, 12 o'clock being lunch, 11:58 the batsman retires, or he's out. Now we very well know that of the last ball, and we very well know that the square leg umpire will have ample time to come and reach his end and start another over. But the starting of the over rule is abrogated in these circumstances, and you will call lunch at that time, and we will go away early. Here I want you to remember always very clearly that the time is less than 3 minutes. Now there are many, in law 11 we saw that 10 minutes or less. Here it is less than 3 minutes, it is not 3 minutes or less. So if at 57 a batter is out, you will ask him to come and play. Is that clear? Now as I said, the general rule is walking up, but if there is an interval and within 3 minutes a wicket falls, this walking up rule won't apply. Now it is at the start of an interval, before an interval. which is the lunch interval, which is the tea interval, and which is the close of play on each day. Close of play on each day. Fine. All of these, even the close of play on each day is an interval, except on the last day. Now, what happens in the case of the last day? Now, here, the last hour of the match, just a second. Okay, unless the players have occasion to leave the field during those 3 minutes, all right, which I should have mentioned. Now, at this time, I should also be telling you about 12.10. Law 12.10 speaks about completion of the last over of the match. Okay. Speaks about the now we just discussed completion of an over during the normal time while the game is in progress, and here there are a special provision which tells us that completion of an over, last over of the match. The rule says that over in progress at the close of play, 5 p.m. on the last day. Now 5 p.m. on the first day, on the second or third, first, second, third, fourth days, it will be treated differently. Close of play on the last day, the end of the match, will be treated differently. The law says the over in progress at the close of play on the final day shall be completed. Shall be completed always. Even if a wicket falls or either batter retires when less than 3 minutes remain, for the close of play or after time has been reached. So you have to remember that now this happened to me. In a game, I was umpiring a match, Kanga League match, that was Garware Clubhouse versus some team at Kharjamkhana, and Garware Clubhouse is a prominent club in Bombay, and that year they had roped in some of the old stalwarts. Bapu Natkani played that game for Garware Clubhouse, so did Polly Umrigar, Vijay Bhosle, and a lot of other stalwarts played. They had qualified for the Kanga League, and they were playing the lower divisions there. Now in this game, Polly Umrigar used to bowl off spinners, and he started bowling the last over of the game. There are no minimum overs. He started bowling the last over of the game. 2 minutes before close, he took a wicket in that over. I think it was the second ball or something, and I had to call the batsmen. There were 2 batsmen ready there at the pavilion. I had to call them into play. The batter got out. He came into play. Isn't it close of play? I said, no, you have to finish this over. So he carried on. He got out just after time was reached, maybe the 4th ball or something like that. He got out. Massive confusion there. The pavilion, those sitting in the pavilion didn't know what to do. A batter is going out. We had to call him back, call the new batsman in, and he came and batted. He also got out of the 5th ball. Now I lost 2 wickets after time was reached. It wasn't a hat-trick, of course. Second ball and maybe 4th or 5th ball, something like that. And Polly took 3 wickets in that over. Now there was massive confusion. They had to come and play. They didn't know what to do, and it was a surprise to everybody. I had occasion to apply this. It made things a little interesting, and maybe you will have occasion someday to apply this particular rule. But remember that the last over of the match has always got to be completed. Doesn't matter what the number of wickets falling and all that. Also, I might mention that starting of the last over, starting of the last over, and to go with this provision in 12.10, completion of the last over. In 12.5, completion of over, the first thing that is given there is that this regulation of batter being out within 3 minutes shall not apply when it comes to the completion of the last over. Both of these go together. Both of these together say that for the last over, completion for the last over, the only thing that matters is walking up to the wicket. Fine. In fact, I should have just said that starting of the new over, the only criterion will be the umpire walking up to take his position. That is the only criterion that will apply. I think we will close this particular episode here and take up the other part of the remaining part of Law 12, which refers to the minimum overs and conclusion of the match for another session. Fine? Bye.